Good morning, everybody. Great to be here again. I'm going to just talk for 25 minutes about stuff that I think is interesting. I hope you will think is interesting as well, particularly about what we're doing in the Confidential Computing Consortium. So that is kind of it. If that's enough, well, you can go, but please don't. So starting off, what is confidential computing? And we, as Confidential Computing Consortium, have a definition. And also, what is the Confidential Computing Consortium? So confidential computing is the protection of data in use, words we've heard already, by performing computation in a hardware-based, attested, trusted execution environment. So anyone who has been part of creating words to go out like this knows this takes a while. This took 6 months. Oh, and the word attested took another 3 or 4, okay? So this took a lot of crafting. And I'll talk about why in a moment. But what do? Well, we are basically the trade body, right, for confidential computing. We're part of the Linux Foundation, and so we're about encouraging open engagement, using open source projects, and accelerating the adoption of this technology through open collaboration. And because of the way we work, it's a safe place to work with competitors. We have Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, ARM, all working together on things to help the community forward. But there are a few words I put in red here because they're really, really important. They are protection, hardware-based, and attested in the definition. So protection, because of course that's what we need to do, but the hardware-based is really, really important because without the hardware-based, you cannot have full assurance that you are fully isolated from those bad folks or the pieces that may be compromised in a system. So the hardware part is really, really important. The other part that's really important is attested. This is the bit that gives you the cryptographic assurance that what is running is what you think is running and what should be running. And I'm going to be coming back to that as a really important part later on in this talk. So in terms of the red bits in the second bit, community, really important. Adoption, we're not just about chatting, we want to actually make things move forward, and the open collaboration I've already talked about. But I want to move on to a story. And I apologize if you have problems with these sorts of things, which I know people. These are not just bugs, okay? I know they're bugs, but we're used to talking about bugs in computer code and stuff. That's not what this is about. A few weeks ago, I was leading a Birds of a Feather session at RSA conference on PETs and on confidential computing. And we had a whole bunch of different people there. We had CISOs from Europe, from the US, we had people from startups, from spin-outs, from huge investment banks, we had academics. And I was going around and we had one attendee there who I was really interested by. Because one of the things that we've been saying for ages is that confidential computing is relevant to every sector, right? And this was the sector I hadn't thought of, right? It was a pest control company. It was a major regional pest control company who care about the privacy of their customers' data. Because if you're a large business and you have a pest problem, you really don't want your competitors finding out about it. If you're a resident, you don't want people knowing that you have roaches or rats or whatever, right? So if pest control people need it, who doesn't need it? Okay. So a little bit about what the Confidential Computing Consortium is doing now, and then about what we're going to be doing in the future. Oh, I apologize. I like putting images here. This was someone, a governing board, you wear a big hat, right? So this is what that, so we have these kind of 3 sets. We've got the governing board, technical advisory, and outreach or marketing. And the governing board is currently looking at how we reposition the work of the CCC better to reflect where the market is, because we started 4 years ago, and we haven't really done that since. We're also looking at the question of, should there be some sort of certification program around confidential computing. If you're interested in that, please come and see me or speak to my colleagues at the booth later on. I really must apologize for this. So when I started searching for pictures, I thought, what can I use to talk about attestation? A seal. And of course, when you search online for pictures of seals, this you get. And then, of course, I started thinking, well, if we're going to go punny, we need to talk about kernels. Yeah, okay, so I really apologize. So these are the real pictures, right? We've got a seal, and we've got risk management, and we've got, these are apparently some lines from the kernel. I haven't checked which lines, but hey. So the Technical Advisory Council is about providing a place to have technical conversations. And it meets for 2 hours every 2 weeks. Loads of stuff goes on. We have presentations from external folks, talk about internal issues. It was in the TAC that definition, which took 6 months and another 3 months or so, was hammered out. But we also have a number of special interest groups. And the first one is on attestation. The second is on governance, risk, and compliance. And the third is about doing work in the Linux kernel. And I'm going to say something which I probably shouldn't say now, which is that you do not need to be a member of the CCC to participate in these meetings. So obviously I should be encouraging everyone to sign up, and please do sign up. But if you want to get involved in here and you're not ready to think about membership yet, please come along. This is where these things are happening, and it's a great place to be doing so. The Outreach Committee is where we look at marketing and outreach to the broader community. And we have a number of different groups working there. And again, this is vitally important. We are speaking at more and more conferences. We are putting out webinars, doing podcasts, all these different things, and we welcome members getting involved in this. And if you are a member, there are great opportunities to be on panels, speaking at conferences, all those sorts of things. Not to mention being part of the staffing of the booth or all those sorts of things. So this is kind of what the CCC, the Confidential Computing Consortium, does right now. But that's not so interesting, and what I should be talking about is the future. So this is someone standing out. So I apologize. So here are some of the areas that I think and the CCC thinks need work. And we've already heard that people don't know enough about confidential computing. When you go, as I'm sure many of you have, to trade shows or to customers, and you ask them, do you know what confidential computing is? It's I reckon 10 to 15%, if you're lucky, if people know. Does that sort of fit with people's understanding? People just don't know about confidential computing. And one of the reasons, I think, is that when we first started, the phrase privacy-enhancing technologies was just kicking off. And it wasn't clear that it was going to take off. And the confidential computing sort of set of people weren't sure whether we should fit into that picture. And I think we do. And we've just heard Aaron talk about some of the other technologies in this space. But I think we need to realize that when customers are looking for a way to deal with privacy and enhance the privacy of what they're doing, they're not going to search on a particular technology if they haven't heard of it. They're going to search on a set of technologies, and this is a good way, being aware of that we fit within that context. So we are absolutely thinking about how do we make confidential computing more visible. So you have ideas about that. I've talked about webinars, podcasts, and if you, particularly if your members, are doing interesting things, we want to know about it because we want to share that with the broader community. The next thing is ease of use and use cases and customer stories. And again, we've already heard about this. If we can't explain to people why they should be using these technologies, they can't know they should be, right? they have no chance if they don't know about them. And of course, AI, again, as we've already heard, is vitally important. But when we think about this, this is not how I want to think about it. I want to think about using AI and data privacy for better collaboration. Because it's not just how you use the tech, but it's how you share data and how you can scale what you do with other people that is going to make for more use cases and more interesting uses of these technologies. I said a while ago that I was going to come back to attestation, and this is one of the times I want to come back to the question of attestation. As I'm sure most of you know, attestation is the mechanism whereby a measurement is taken of your confidential computing, your environment, your TEE, and the stuff in it, and then verified to check that what you think is in it is in it. And that's all very well, and that's very useful. But if we think of it only because it's what you're interested in, we're missing a huge set of opportunities. So how else could you use it? Well, the second way you could use it would be to say, oh, actually, I'm going to use that for communication. So there's work going on, for instance, to integrate attestation, remote attestation with TLS, so that other parties that are communicating with that environment can also learn and use and leverage those assurances. Then, of course, there's things like auditors and regulators. When they say, how can you prove to me that this stuff is what you said it was secure as you said it was, you can point to this. But that also means that you can use that to work with other people. If you want to be sharing data, sharing computation, using the attestation to prove to them that what they're connecting to is you and is the data and is the computational, algorithmic, programmatic pieces that they expect, is how we can use attestation. So, a couple more things. First of all is geographic reach. So we have a number of people here I know from Asia Pacific region, and we have a number of people here from the European region. I think we also have some people here from South America, which I'm very pleased about. One of the problems that we have is that at the moment, a lot of what's being talked about is happening in North America and to some degree in Europe. And we need to find ways to spread the word, because many of you are global businesses, and there are great opportunities. It turns out that places like Singapore, very strong on regulation, big financial centers, therefore great opportunities for confidential computing. So how can we spread our wings and make sure that the voices from there are heard here, and that also what we're talking about is heard elsewhere around the world? So that's something we're working at. We're going to be sponsoring, and I will also be at the PET Summit in Singapore in July. If you're interested, come and talk to me. We've got some opportunities for speaking and all those sorts of things as well. Regulators and standards bodies. Who doesn't love a regulator? Okay. However, regulators drive change. Always after it's happened, but they drive it through the industry. If we can get to the stage where the regulators and the standards bodies accept that if you're using confidential computing, a whole bunch of controls that you might otherwise be really concerned about, you just don't need to apply, or you can apply in different ways, then we have won. Because it means that confidential computing becomes one of the ways just to tick a box rather than 600 boxes. And so it's for that reason that we're working with regulators and standards bodies, because they absolutely work together, through the GRC special interest group to address these and try to raise the visibility and help these folks understand where where we're coming from and how the assurances, how the security improvements that are provided by confidential computing can allow them to be happy about how their industry works and functions. This last one for me is a key and very complex question. And it's something where I really want your help from. We have a poster session which I recorded a brief panel, 20-minute panel, which is happening at the poster sessions either tonight or tomorrow, I can't remember which, around business models for remote attestation. Because as I said before, without attestation, it's not actually confidential computing, per the definition of the Confidential Computing Consortium. An attestation, as I've also said, provides you with so many business benefits. But who does the attesting? Attestation is complex and really important to get right. It also becomes more complex as you think about different types of workloads, because you need to do management of all of those different pieces. So who does that? Well, the worst people to be doing it are the people who are operating the machines that you're running your confidential computing on, right? Because it's saying, I don't trust you to run my workloads, but I do trust you to tell me that you set up the workloads right, which is kind of like marking your own homework, which we don't approve of. So it shouldn't be those people. But who should it be? Should it be the customer? Well, it's pretty complex for the customer. They might not get it right. Should it be the ISV? Maybe it should. But if you're a customer and you're doing multiple confidential computing projects, do you want them all to be attested by the different ISVs? Should it be a regulator? Should it be a standards body? Should it be a government? Heaven help us. Should it be a third party, like whoever runs, DNS services? Should it be the Confidential Computing Consortium? I'm not sure it should be, but I don't think we know. And what's more, we need to understand what the business model for running these things is. Is it, as part of the you pay the regulator and the regulator provides this capability? Is it a per attestation? Is it per workload? Is it per, I don't know. And so I really want to kick off this conversation in the industry so that we can really move it forward. I think this is one of those barriers to adoption that we really want to address. So these are the things that we are really focusing on very hard as kind of future issues that we need to address in the Confidential Computing Consortium. Oh, and I just wanted to say we do actually have a set of use cases which we're going to be publishing in Q3, and we want to keep that happening. We want to rev that on a kind of regular basis, so keep an eye out for that. That is definitely coming. But I also want to, as we go through these couple of days, I want to speak to all of you, well, probably just about have time for that, but as many of you as possible to know which of these resonates for you. Whether you're members or not, I want to know what is important to you in terms of moving confidential computing. Where do you think the barriers are? What should we be doing next? Because we're addressing all of these, and it's only with your participation as the industry body for confidential computing that we can really move on. So we have a little announcement to make as well. And that is, we know that if you're a small startup, every dollar matters. I've been a small startup and every dollar mattered. And subscription to the CCC has been an impediment, has been a barrier to membership, I know, for some startups. The governing board is really keen to encourage participation because a lot of the things that are happening, a lot of the innovation that's happening is happening through startups. So we are announcing today, I'm announcing today, that the CCC membership will be waived for the first 12 months for new startup members of the CCC. Those are first-time members who have 1 to 99 employees, and you do need to be a member of the Linux Foundation. But we hope this will encourage people to come and be part of the benefits of being part of the CCC. As I said, you don't even need to be a member just to come along, see what it works, get involved, but hopefully the benefits beyond just participation in the meetings will be enough to get you to be involved. So that's my last slide. But I've got a final thing that I want to leave with you. And I want you to use your imagination. I want to close your eyes. And I'm going to ask you to think of a particular household object. It's a really exciting household object. So ready? Think of a vacuum cleaner. Okay, you can open your eyes now. I'm sure we all thought of vacuum cleaners, but I suspect, and I may be wrong, that very few of you are excited about vacuum cleaners. And the problem with security and security technologies is they tend to be vacuum cleaners. People buy vacuum cleaners because they have to buy a vacuum cleaner. Because they've moved into a new house, they've bought a new complex, they've got a pet which sheds now, the kids are dropping Oreo crumbs all over the place, the last one broke, whatever it may be. But very few people want to buy a vacuum cleaner. And the problem is that's how people think about security on the whole. They don't really want to do security. They do security because they have to, because the regulator tells them they have to, because their CISO tells them they have to, because they're worried about reputational risk. And those are all good reasons. But if we can make confidential computing into something that you buy because it provides value, because it allows you to do new things, or things more cheaply or more cleverly, or that helps you to bring more customers or partners or on board, or to increase your ecosystem, rather than just because you want to, if you can go to your customers and excite them about this, not just because they're going to meet their regulatory requirements and to do their ticks, then you are in a position really to grow, and we as a community can make confidential computing happen. Now, I'm confident, having had a bit of a scan over some of the sessions going on over the next 2 days, that there are some of those things. But as we're going through, think about how we can excite our customers, how can we excite the ecosystem into doing not just those important regulatory stuff, which must happen, but thinking beyond the vacuum cleaner. Thank you. Thank you.